All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, nightly strategy podcast for March 1st, 2023. We'll start with the swing portfolio management. So, again, we're working on 30 minutes. All of these symbols come from my usual suspects, my boot camp symbols. It's about 50 symbols that I track from a variety of sectors, large cap stocks, specials, broad indexes, so that there's always something happening in the herd. Metals have been doing so well that I got nervous in the service today. So um, here was, let's see, Alcoa. So this got started 3 days ago, or two. Today's the 0 day, so that's -1 and -2. So 3 trading days. We got entered at the SSC, at the PSAR flip, standard risk to the bottom of the RL10. It closed well on that day. It continued to move up the next day. So that's the second day. So we added a position. That closed pretty well. Today it gapped up, ran all the way to the top, made a new 10-day high, and then really couldn't get above this triangle. And then as it started to collapse, as I sent out in a note on Patreon, I was getting a little worried about this. It was rich. So I took the exit here, and that gives us on Alcoa with 1 unit of risk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6R on the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 on the second one. So that's a 10R trade in 3 days and no overnight risk. I'll be ready to get back in this one if it should get above the peak of the dragon or a new 10-day high. I'd be interested in re-entry, but I didn't want to risk a 10R overnight in the metals, so we're out of that one. Caterpillars in the industrials, and they have just been running amok with strength, but Caterpillar itself has had a sell-off to like an SSC with a gap, and then this held. And then today there was a gap up and going, so put the standard risk on it. That's an intraday risk, and now I'm just going to leave that in place. So I get an advantage by having a larger intraday position size because I'm using that tighter risk box. And then this thing runs up and then closes well. So right in here, I make a decision that I'm going to keep it overnight. So I'm going to sell 80% of the position, which pays for the overnight risk that I'll take on a swing entry here, and I'll put that stop, I think, right about here. So now this is prepared to go. And now I don't mind getting back in on a turbo position tomorrow if it takes out today's high, because that'll mean it's going through a 10-day high, and that's really good. So we initiate a swing today on Caterpillar. Cliff in the metals did really well over the last 3 days, just like the other ones. It had a Z3 breakout. We put the standard risk on it. I thought about a second position here, but I already had one in Alcoa. Thought about one here, but it was at the close of the day, so we just kept the one position on. It gapped up and then started selling off, so we just took it here, and that gave us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6R. So that's a pretty nice little trade right there. We'll go down and look at U.S. Steel while we're here. So this is the one I took more risk on overnight yesterday. So we had this was an intraday trade that became a swing trade at the close because it closed very well and it looked like all this was holding. So I like that getting it started on the 3 minutes, convert it to the 30-minute chart, then the swing trade. The next day it gapped up, held, and then started taking off yesterday. So when it cleared that peak, and it was starting well on this day, we added a position. Yesterday added another position. It closed really well. Today it kind of gapped up and then started selling off coming through the dragon. So I wanted to keep the third position in the money. And I was thinking too much about this, so just to relieve the tension, I got out, and I'm going to have that one flat overnight. So on the first position, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second position has 3. Third position has 1. So that's also a 10R. What was getting me nervous in here was the fact that on 3 positions, that's already minus 3R. Because it's down a full R from the high on 3 positions. So that felt like enough. Felt like the ice was cracking. CVS, on the other hand, this is it's just doing what it does, and that is these little one-day intraday snacks, each one like a collapsing dragon snack. And today it was a gap down and selling off, so we just put it right back on with the same risk that we've had on each intraday move. It sold off, and then as it was in the last hour of the day and didn't feel like it was failing further, we just cashed that one. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Diamonds, I initiated one today, so we're going to see that it has a 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio on the auto framer. And that's like that's the best reward to risk, and that support level there has held multiple times. And on an intraday risk, this thing made some money. I converted to a swing trade risk, and I'm still just going to keep that in play tomorrow. If it breaks above today's high, I could be persuaded to add more, because now if it gets through this little hump, then this is in play at 329.50. This is in play. That's in play. That's in play. And then the 5-day high is in play all the way up here. And that could be a monster good move. So we initiated a swing in diamonds. Devon Energy, still got nothing on that one. I like the I like this little Kata 2 starting to happen here. So my thought is, if this continues to go and breaks above 55, I think that's a buy right there, because that's not going to be much resistance in here. And then over here, this is all gap. So it should get through that. Closing the gap gets it up into here. So that could be a nice trade tomorrow with a nice tight risk box. And if it gets through 56, it could really go. So Devon Energy back in good graces. Electronic Arts, today, I just got tired of waiting for it to go. It didn't, and then started collapsing further. So I no lose plus dinner for two'd it. Then it sold off, raced up, sold off again. Now this feels like Kata 2 action, so I got short here. Now it had a last-minute recovery back to break even, so I'm just going to keep that. I'm just going to keep that stop and play. And then if this starts failing again, I would look to add a second position on this breakdown below 109. So this is all just tactical space in here. But at 109, it's going to be a 10-day low, 30-day low, and a collapsing dragon. So that's the break that I'm looking for. Don't know how much upside there is on that one, but this thing is, it just hasn't shown much interest in gaining over the last 10 days. So that's a speculative one. Emerging markets had a after the sideways chop. So you had this sell off and then sideways chop, and then today there was a gap and sideways chop. So all it is doing is staying inside this little trading range. Now, if it breaks out above 39 and a quarter, I could be interested. But there's other global indexes doing much better, so I'm not in a hurry to trade that one long. On the short side, though, I could be persuaded that if today's little gap up fails, then it's going to come back to then this becomes 2R potential against 1 unit of risk, with a second position if it breaks below the 30-day low. So I am more interested, I think, on the downside on that one. Mexico, on the other hand, is a global index that's doing very well. And we got the SSC. That's 1, 2, 3. 4 days ago at the close, we took a speculative one on that one. We've kept that risk box in play. It had 1 start, 2 starts. Now here was the test. Can it break above this? And if so, can it get to here? It did. So today it broke through. So we added this position here when it broke above those levels, and it held very well and is continuing to march. So we've got 2 positions in on this. We got 1, 2, 3, probably holding 4 on that one, plus 1 on this one. So we're holding about 5R total on 2 positions. And then if this thing breaks above the 10-day high, that's here, then the 30-day high is here, and then I would really expect it to go. So I like being in that position. 2 positions already deep in the money and ready for an additional compound critical state ready to go. That feels like it could be really good. So if I pull out of this and look back a little bit, we're at a crucial level right here. So again, if it can break out of this, that thing is free and clear and going. So I like having 5R in hand and 2 positions from here and here ready to go. So that is exactly what I'm trying to do. Brazil is a couple days later in that same kind of mindset where it is near the 10-day and 30-day low. It held support. It broke through the PSAR, so that's an SSC. Took a tight risk. It closed very well, so again, I decide to keep that. Keep 20% as a swing trade for the overnight risk. And then tomorrow, if it breaks above today's high, then we'll look for that to go. It's really got to get above 27.75. If it gets above 28, then that gap disappears and it runs to 28.50 in a hurry. So this thing has a lot of upside, and I don't mind getting short that on a stop and reverse if we have to. So that's a speculative one, and I like it in both directions. Intel, just observing, it's sideways kind of dead money. I initiated IYR, real estate, here on the gap down and fail. Standard risk. It rolled back and closed here, so we're a fraction in the money. I'll just keep that stop level right there, and we'll give it a couple days. Marijuana, I covered the short. It was not failing like I had wanted. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chances to fail, and then the RL10 rolled up. So I decided to cash that, which is about 1R, and flat overnight. Clean energy, again, also initiated the short on this one. It's failing right where it's supposed to fail. All of those led to sell-offs. So put the standard risk when it PSAR flipped, and it responded with a nice failure today. If it fails below 4150, I'll add a second swing position here. So that's going to be a high pry to watch. I don't want to let that one lose money tomorrow, so that'll be one to closely manage. Rivian was a gift, so it's on our routine watch list. It had a huge alert with a great big gap sell-off, and so I just put the intraday risk on. It fell through the collapsing dragon on the 30 minutes, so I added a second position, added a third position, then I couldn't stand it anymore, so I got out of that for a one-day gift of about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5R gift, and it's now a Godzilla and is in play. So that 5R should start funding tomorrow's trades in Rivian. Treasuries, the speculative long that we tried yesterday, which closed well, had a adverse gap all the way down to here. So we got out with a -1. It monkeyed around. I could get short this again if it falls below key price level of 100. So that's one where the speculation did not work. The adverse gap turned a 1.5R win into a 1R loss. That's the beauty of the gap. Tesla, we had a let's see, gap down today. So I exited the speculative long at a fractional loss. It continued to sell off, but then held, and I just can't. It's like a sore tooth. I just can't leave it alone. So I tried this one with again the wide stop. We'll see how that goes. If that works, that's going to be a Kata 2 pattern, and then it has to get above about 210 for this really to become interesting. So that's the speculative play for tomorrow. And we've already seen U.S. Steel. So that's the swing trade management. I cover how to do this in the advanced swing course, by the way. All right, so here's the intraday sniper trade of the day. This is on a 3-minute chart. Here was yesterday's close. It gapped down here and then set up a OR3. So the second bar failed, so I got short. This was also the standard risk box. So it came to here. I took the -1. I got long with the standard risk box. That one scratched. So this one we got short, took the 1R loss here, stopped and reversed, scratched. When it fell below the collapsing dragon, I got short, again using the same standard risk box, check or hold. By that time, your stop from here should be at least here to lock in that goodness. Maybe you take a 1-bar low or 1-bar high and lock in that much. That's your call. Good problem to have. At the R10 wiggle and failing more, I add a second position that's also a 2R battle drill. standard exit at the R10 reversal and crossing the dragon and PSAR flip. So that one gives us 2R on the first one, maybe half an R on the second one, so that's about 2.5 to negate the -1, so we're positive for the day. At the PSAR flip, I take the SSC, missed a 2R battle drill reentry, take a standard exit. One, two, three, so that's about +3, and we were net 1.5 from here, so we're at about 4.5 for the day so far. Check or hold. Stop and reversed. How orderly is that? Missed a 2R battle drill reentry. Just took this routine exit. So now we're about 6.5 for the day. And then it rolls into the close. So that's about 6.5 traded routinely on treasuries. That's just that's TLT. Extremely liquid, extremely smooth. It's so heavily traded that you can't really do a lot of shenanigans with that if you're a large trader, because that market is so large. It has to be orderly. Let's see here. We'll head to the traders today. All right, here's Peter. I think Peter's in here tonight.
Yeah, I'm here.
This ain't all bad. So here's he's a couple hundred trades into the technique. Now he's moved into the live demos. He's looking at the 1 minute charts for getting more practice. You also end up getting this kind of action. A nice collapsing dragon here. This is on YM, so that's the 1 minute E-minis. So for those of you keeping score at home, that trades identically to DIA. It has to, because of arbitrage. So you can practice. If you don't have a futures on your platform, you can practice with DIA. So he gets the first one, probably a 2R battle drill at. He gets 5 off of the first one, 3 off of this one, and then routine exit, routine reentry, about a 1, 2, 3 micro loss. We might have gone with the PSAR flip here, but I wouldn't be in such a hurry to get, to turn it into a stop and reverse and get long, given a 10R win that way, because that's kind of the move of the day. When it doesn't fail in here, you did get long here, which I like, and then that's a quick exit. We might have on our best day gotten this, but you got that one, and there's nothing wrong with another 6R. And notice that he's identified the fade stat. So the fade stat is measuring how far from the high of the day it has fallen. And so when it has fallen that far, he decides that's probably enough. You didn't leave much on the table, to be honest. That if you're trading the futures and you can go past the close, there's a COTA 2 inside here. This great big sell-off to me, this is exactly the symbol translated to DIA, where I'm getting long in here. Let me do that in green. This is where I initiated that swing trade today in DIA with a a wide stop down here because this almost feels like a washout, and it closed really well after that. There was a lot of buying interest in here.
Yeah, it just looks like it was that part in time of the day because this was actually at night. This is all
Oh,
Eastern
oh, okay,
numbers
okay.
times. Yeah, this was late.
Oh, all right. I see. Okay, I see
Yeah,
it now.
it just looks the
Eh,
same.
yeah. So anyway, in spite of this, I'm long DIA because if you're afraid to go long DIA after sell off, then you're just going to be afraid. And it had the number one reward to risk ratio in the whole in the regular stack, so I'm long on that one. But that's pretty nice 14R. Good way to start the practice session.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Here's my brother on. Let's see what he's got here. This is this is U.S. Steel. He gets that surge and uh,
This
go ahead, Bill.
that
Is
was
this
2 days
yesterday?
ago.
Oh yeah, you just posted this though. I don't think I commented on this one.
Your computer screwed up last night,
Oh,
right at
that's
the
what it
end.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Sorry.
right. So a couple 2R battle drills, and then a quick exit on the sell off, a re-entry, a 2R battle drill, and a sell off. So 10 for the day.
That's a 15-cent MMRB dropped down to 8 by the
Yeah.
time I got 2R.
Yeah.
So when by the time you have the third position on, I'm only using a third of a MMRB. So that was like 8
Yep.
cents,
Yep.
5 cents.
Yep.
It's crazy hair trigger.
Yep. But thin margins. We get paid to know what we're doing.
That chart was worth $1,000. If you go back and look at it, it's 10 or it's $1,000, and it was like an hour. So
Okay. So let's see. There's 7.5 hours a day. So you should be making $7,500 a day times 200 trading days. That's what everybody thinks.
yeah, because you can
Well, how
you can
come you
do that
do?
the whole
Why don't you
time
do that all the time? Okay.
because the market doesn't give you that all the time.
So here's Devon Energy. This was a collapsing dragon fail. Quick exit. I maybe could have been a little quicker on the reversal here because you're above the VWAP. Like I think you might have been able to get long here. This is Tim, but he gets a nice play here, and gets paid there for plus 0.4. Gets paid quick in U.S. Steel. Micro loss, and then on Intel and Pfizer, he gets basically Pfizer was flat and never got out of the channel. Notice that the VWAP never even moved, so he stays out of the chop. Well done. And then brings home 0.4 in Intel. There was an opportunity here, but it was a span of control issue. I like that short when it rolls over, crosses the VWAP, and you're looking for a return to yesterday's price action. That's a really nice play. It didn't follow through, but he still gets paid 0.3. Again, maybe a little late getting in. When it crosses back over the VWAP, I think you can get long here. That makes that a scratch instead of minus 0.9. But he does have the fortitude to get paid right again. He was out of the zero state, but there might have been another opportunity there. So 0.5 for the day and making progress. Here's Satya. Now this is like Rivian in reverse. First Solar has that huge gap. Well, that's how you find the movers. And then there's an OR3. Look how big the opening range 3 is compared to the standard risk. So when it breaks out, the hypothesis it's going to go. So you only need that much protection, so you don't have to take all of that protection. So you get a nice position size on a tight risk. Gets paid, PSAR exit, 5R. And thank you very much. Woj crunching things here with his 4 usual suspects. Devon Energy 0.9 gets quick paid and then better paid. He gave back a lot in both of those, but it was still 0.9. So I think there may be some tightening up to do there. Gets 1.1 in Tesla. Gets paid on the short side twice. Tries it a third time. Gets bumped out. Later in the day, he sees the support level building in U.S. Steel. Plays the long side for 1.1. Nvidia, he misses the re-entry twice. And then gets a couple slivers, but 3.3 for all day. That ain't bad. Kyun with Intel, this is Intel. So nice. This is really well done. Finding his rhythm here. So here's the PSAR flip, and then that's almost like a Kata 2 action right there. So he gets the breakout. 2-hour battle drill. It starts coming back. He cashes it. There might have been a re-entry, but that happened so fast. He said, I'm still trying to figure out what had happened. Yeah, when you're trying to understand things, sometimes you miss moves in both directions. Now, this is one I want you to notice. This setup right here. So after the explosive move up and a pullback below the VWAP, it bumps up and comes back. It crosses your VWAP, breaks through the dragon, collapsing dragon. That's the optimal move. And then the Kata 2 optimal move. And then the collapse. This is also a Kata 2. Boy, that was given clear signals all over the place. And Intel is very much still in place, so stay with that one. But that's nice work for 2.1. Devon Energy, he works on the Z3 breakout, doesn't lose money. Waits for the emerging dragon breakout, efficiently captures that move. That's nice. Is able to stay out of the chop. I might make those outside Z3 lines red so that a little bit easier to see. You can see that that expanding or contracting trend maybe a little easier. I don't know if that's an issue, but here's Luke. Is this the 2 minute? Yeah, 2 minute DAX. Notice how smooth the RL10s get you. Now, here's a PSAR flip. He's late getting in, but he's still front running this. So if this were to break, and these are the higher level RL10 lows, I think is what he's saying there. If that were to break, then this thing really fails. So at least he's getting in prior to that. So when it comes down to test, if it breaks and starts running away, he's already in. When that doesn't break, he gets a scratch. Now the reversal might have been here. He's a little late. It runs up. He doesn't lose money. He gets a re-entry. Doesn't lose money. There's still a Kata 2 here. If you notice where the turning points in the RL10 are. This one is actually the RL30. Look at the Kata 2s in the RL30. This is a case of the fractal nature of this thing. Gets a nice entry. Doesn't get shaken out. Might have added a second position here or here. Decides to cash 1.3 for the people. Might have wanted the, let's see, I think by that time he had shifted over to the Aussie. That's what beliefs will do for you. So there's that. I think that's, you'd be pretty fortunate to get that one. But this RL10 break right here, somewhere in here, I think, is a reasonable collapsing dragon. If once you see that start to happen, I don't know that I would chase. But on this reversal, it had, almost 30 minutes to fail and it didn't. That becomes really attractive. He was trying to get the order in and it wouldn't take, and the move ran away from him. So grumblingly, he pretty much scratches out of this one. But Micro loss for the Aussie, but when you add the DAXs, micro win for the day. And there's Peter. So nice work all around, guys. Pretty good stuff. Dailies. We're back into sideways quiet. Now remember, that's actually favorable for the long side, and that was why I was interested in diamonds, the DIA swing. Let's see. So, yeah, the volatility is still warning. Careful, risk off. So, still, I mean, sideways quiet. It's a crapshoot. So that was a reason for me to get out of the metals. That was such a dynamic move over 3 or 4 days. I just felt like how much could be left. I was more interested in preserving those wins. The sell-off is pronounced, and you can see in the Dow tactical summary, just about everything is on an auto framer. A handful of 5DDs for very weak ones like IBM, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, United Health. Tesla was a loser today. I like Caterpillar. That was that swing that I initiated today. I'm looking for continued strength out of Caterpillar. It has very strong index numbers. Caterpillar is strong, and we're going to see that XLI, its parent, is looking pretty good too. When we get to the ETFs, we'll see that XLI, the industrials, have been pretty good, and his NDX numbers are among the best. Lots of auto framers to choose from. The globals did pretty well today, Brazil and Mexico, but especially Mexico. This was the reason for the emphasis on the swing in Mexico. It's just crushing right now. And the metals and mining have really been doing well. It was so good that it chased me out. I just I couldn't hang. Lots of auto framers to choose from. I leave it to you to sort that out. And again, I just want you to notice how strong DIA is at 6-1, and it's suggesting a range risk of about $2.60. Its ATR, a quarter of an ATR is $1, so its ATR is about $4. Daily squeezes. I like when at the end of a sell-off that the S&P is squeezed and diamonds are squeezed. I like all of that. Trying to talk myself into justifying the DIA swing. What are you going to do? In the sniper. So this was this big move here in Rivian culminated in and it became a Godzilla today. The big alert, because it's in the tactical symbol set, the big gap down and failing is what clued me into it right away. So there are three volatile Godzillas: Dish, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer. That's a sector. And then all of the other ones are very quiet Godzillas. Electronic Arts just keeps hinting, come on, get me. That's the low volatility is people are ignoring it, I think. As you know, I like the double the double green volatilities for the 1-day movers, because it's part of a 5-day trend now. Let's see, just standard sniper work. This is why I really am liking that Mexico swing. Look at those numbers. His 150-day look back, he's in the top 2% of his 150 days, top 10% of the last 30, top 10% of the last 10. The 5 days have been very quiet, and today began a strong upward move. That's what a fireworks looks like. So I'm happy to be 5R in hand with that one and ready to add. The multi-time frame NDX. Mexico. Have I mentioned Mexico lately? Caterpillar. Look at those numbers. I don't mind holding those things as swing trades out of a sideways market. That could very easily be where the leaders are. And then these are either going to collapse further or they're on deep value. But these two here, holy mackerel. Coca-Cola and Johnson & Johnson just suffering. Home Depot suffering. IBM suffering. So won't some value players come in and get them? Here's that real estate is just getting murdered. But the other thing that's noteworthy here is that, look, your defensive plays, utilities, consumer staples, real estate, healthcare, and treasuries are all getting slaughtered. The things that are working are materials, the globals. Go figure. Crazy market. Our ideal candidates for short-term trading, combining consistency of daily moves in the range percentage and the large range stats. Ethereum, Tesla, Alcoa, clean energy, Intel, metals and mining, Brazil. Caterpillar's on that list. 2.31% volatility and a frog quality of 2.9. That's pretty good. Liking it. All right, that's everything for today. We'll get this published and posted and ready for tomorrow. Keep up the great work, fellas.
Hey, Ken, can you keep the room open for me?
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Thank you.
I'm going to make you the host, so if you want to record it, you can do that too.
Yeah.